Something further on our early readings of Genesis again, as we're reading the Bible again according to a different schedule through 2023. It's very helpful to notice how God creates everything good and in good order first. And because of the choice of man to choose sin and death, a disobedience, not trusting God, breaking fellowship with God as at the suggestion of another creature. Of course, this is different from other stories of origins we see in other cultures in which the gods make conflict among themselves, and then somehow out of that comes man. No, God, this one God, God of heaven and earth, establishes all things in good order, and then humanity chooses disobedience, and slowly, or actually rather quickly, but over a period of time, all creation seems to suffer from it. Notice that man had been created in God's image. God had breathed God's life-giving spirit, animating the man, body, and soul. Man had a society within the species, man and then woman as husband and wife, and notice that they are charged with filling the earth. That is, human sexuality is not something we discovered after eating of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. No, it was also already part of God's good gift. The tree of the knowledge of good and evil is that humanity would then see good and evil both as means to an end. And that is a problem when we excuse doing evil in order that, quote, good may come, or that the end justifies any means. And that's something that should not be. That's where we go terribly, terribly wrong. Notice in disobedience to God, it breaks also the fellowship of man and wife. And the serpent is to crawl in the dust and strike at the offspring at the heel, while the offspring crushes the serpent's head. We really have much more power than the adversary has power over us, but we choose the adversary's way. And then there's the placing of blame. The woman you gave me of the fruit, and I ate. Trying to place the blame on God for the goodness of the fellowship between man and wife that calls the bringing about. This is the man's excuse, is to blame another. And disobedience with God brings about the break in human relationships. And so blame is passed on. Notice also that when Eve does see that the fruit's good and that it's desirable at the suggestion of the serpent, she takes and eats and gives some to her husband who was with her, the man that was with her. In other words, it's not that she took and ate and then went off to find the Adam to give to the man. He was right with her at the time. So they both are to blame. It's no good to blame one and the other over the other. And also notice that now the desire for one another and gets misplaced. Notice also that, the woman bears children in pain. But, the man also, he's not a gardener anymore. He has to work, and by sweat, and, only the earth will only yield so much. So these are all explanations as to why we have trouble on the earth, but there is how God will work out all things God's way. Remember, God started in good order. God will bring the work to completion. And already in the beginning of the story, we have the roots as to how God will work all this out. I also want to say something about Cain, who becomes the first murderer, and those who are descended from him. Lamech is one who then kills another, and he claims protection of vengeance greater than the protection God gave to Cain. So Lamech is taking and claiming his own right of vengeance himself, whereas God declared anyone that would kill Cain, God would dish out vengeance 7 times. Lamech says 70 times 7 for himself. And when we read Matthew's gospel, we'll find that that's the formula that Jesus tells Peter that he must forgive his brother if he sins against him 70 times 7. In other words, what Lamech claims as vengeance is the principle of divine forgiveness that God expects us to take part in with those who violate us. Notice when we get to the flood, all of flesh is taking part in violation and evil continually. Our sin causes all creation to suffer. God brings about God's good order, God's way anyway. And there's more to say about the flood. Thank you very much. I hope this is helpful.